Why'd you shoot? Why'd you shoot, Aaron?
17-year-old Aaron Callender is under arrest tonight, accused of shooting and killing a boy police say he didn't even know.
I hope that it gives some small measure of relief to the family that the person allegedly responsible for it is on the way to being held accountable for it.
Police say 16-year-old Vaughn Brown was with a crowd gathered to watch a fight on White Plains Road in the Bronx late yesterday afternoon when suddenly shots rang out and Vaughn Brown went down. Police say the suspect was shooting a friend's gun randomly off the balcony of his apartment into a crowd of kids who were fighting. Now, these sources describe him not as a hardened juvenile criminal, but instead as a kid who did something stupid and today regrets it a lot. These sources say Aaron Callender cried in his jail cell last night, but their sympathy was not shared by the mayor and police commissioner. Today they said Callender was on probation for another crime when he allegedly killed Vaughn Brown.
Had he been held in jail for the requisite amount of time that fits the prior crime that he committed, then this act would not have taken place.
For months, the mayor and his top cop have been blasting probation and parole. And they also say the criminal records of youths like Callender should be released to the public, not sealed.
Being aware of this individual's record is something that I think the public really deserves and should know, because it would certainly indicate that an individual like this should not be out on the street.
Friends of the victim agree, saying the system has protected Callender long enough.
He'll be dealt like an adult now. You know, no more juvie stuff on him now. He'll taste the real world now. Excuse me.
Penny Daniels, UPN 9 News.
The joint.
Yeah. This is going out to all the live motherfuckers, know what I'm saying? All the real niggas, Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, California, La Bella, Puerto Rico, wherever the fuck you from, know what I'm saying? Yeah. The story takes place back in the South Bronx, where at the age of 14 I was already knocking off punks. The suckers were scared to death. Every time I walk by, I hear them niggas take their last breath. See, I just didn't give a fuck. And if you had a sheepskin, a leather bomber, you was getting stuck. That was the way it was. One day I went to visit my aunt and stuck up my cuz. See, shit was fucked up back then. No matter what the fuck I did, I never had no ends. And my mom's was on welfare. Hey yo, I knew I had a father, but the nigga was never there. So what the fuck was I to do? I'm sick and tired of being the bummiest nigga out the crew. I gotta get mine, I gotta get cash. I see you, old man, I'm gonna rob him with the quick fast. Give me your motherfucking loot, poppy. I'm gonna get paid, and can't a damn thing stop me. See, I'm tired of this poor shit. And who the cops? Well, they can suck my motherfucking dick. Cause all the niggas ever do is harass. That's why I get glad when I hear somebody smoke that ass. Just to let you know how I feel, word I'm up. The fucking shit is real. Hey yo, it's real. Hey yo, the shit is real. Hey yo, it's real. Word up, the shit is real. Now I'm 16 and there's a brand new scene. I'm making mad loot, getting paid off the dope fiends. Keeping shit in check in order. And my main man Tone was fucking everybody else's daughter. See, everybody knew in town that Joe and Tone had shit locked down. And the nigga wouldn't test me. It seems like every other day the fucking cops arrest me. But the shit will never stick. I make one phone call and be out right quick. Cause Uncle Dan had my back. And now niggas getting jealous cause they know I'm living fat. Talking shit around for waiting on the block, but never in my face cause they knew I packed the Glock. And my crew is mad deep. A bunch of crazy Puerto Ricans, so yo, don't sleep. And all your bitch ass niggas know for deal. Check it out, the fucking shit is real. Hey yo, it's real. Hey yo, it's real. The fucking shit is real. Yeah. Hey yo, it's real. Check it out. Let me let you know why I made this song. Brothers can't deal with the real word is born. I'm sick and tired of these fake ass niggas saying that they catching bodies when they never pull a trigger. I know your style, I've seen it before. You're wearing army suit, now you think you're hardcore. Drinking on your 40s, smoking on your blunts. Can't afford a chain, so you wear gold fronts. Yeah, you're faking the funk, kid, and you'll be It's time to separate the real from the phony. The name is Fat Joe, punk, act like you know me. I come equipped with the rough shit. Nowadays I can't believe the bull rappers come up with. And all your bitch ass niggas know for deal. Check it out, the fucking shit is real. Hey yo, it's real. Hey yo, the shit is real. Hey yo, it's real. The fucking shit is real. Word up. I wanna say peace to my peeps, the beat nuts. Messages of funk, strictly roots. My man Full Flex, Zulu Nation, Jazzy J in the house. Diamond D, the whole digging in the crates crew. And rest in peace to my man Tony Montana. Hey yo, I'm out, word is born. The shit is real.
It's a picture postcard neighborhood with a car in each driveway, tree-lined streets and nearby schools. But the buildings in the background give you the feeling you're not in the suburbs.
I felt skeptical at first.
Carmen Ceballos achieved her American dream in the middle of what used to be neighborhoods devastated by urban blight. Even past presidents Reagan and Carter compared it to war-torn Europe. This is now the South Bronx.
It has been a chance of a lifetime to be able to say that I own a one-family home in the South Bronx.
Rebuilding the South Bronx has been a 20-year-long revitalization effort that works. It's why President Clinton joined leaders of the Bronx, its residents and children to say, the Bronx is an example of what can be done.
Go down these streets if you want to see empowerment. That is what it means. It is not some funny word. It's about people taking control of their lives and building a better future for their children. That's what we're going to do together.
Together with $96 million from HUD to create affordable housing in New York City and a promise to lend small businesses $50.
And it is producing results. Not by creating programs that foster dependency and not by looking the other way, but by giving people the tools to create their own lives through empowerment and investment. Now, that's what Charlotte Gardens represents to me. That's the picture I want America to see. That's the message I want America to get.
So I didn't know what was going on because the police didn't even bother to tell me what was going on either. I was arrested at the hospital in charge of child abuse. And they took me to the 47th precinct and they took me to the 41st precinct. And they kept hounding me and asking me if I knew what happened, if I was a part of this child abuse. I do not know. I was not here. I cannot say what happened. Okay? And I don't think he will hurt a baby either. Because he would not, he doesn't touch me. He doesn't touch the other kids. Now, they come saying that he is unconscious, that when they came, he was unconscious. He was not unconscious. He was sitting there alert because we were talking to him, trying to keep him up. I thought it was just gas when I took him to the hospital. They would not tell me a thing. They just took me out of the hospital and arrested me.
Did he look bruised to you?
He had a few red marks, that's it. That's all I know, because they wouldn't let me go near my baby.
He's lying, okay? He wrote, you can see the paper. He sent out a paper yesterday saying that the incident did not happen. My daughter is not gonna lie. My daughter does not lie about something like this. How is she gonna know anything about, you know, putting something in her mouth? Come on, how is she gonna know something about that?
Mr. Ambassador, I'm here to express, both personally and for the people of the city of New York, our condolences, our prayers, our support with all of the members of the Muslim community and this wonderful family. Betty Shabazz was a great leader in the Muslim community, but she was also a great leader in New York City. And all of the 7.3 million people of New York City share with you this sense of loss. And they're with you in support and in brotherhood and sisterhood. I think everyone in the city has been touched by this terrible tragedy, but mostly everyone in New York City is ennobled by Betty Shabazz's life, specifically the work that she's done at Medgar Evers College, which is part of the city of New York, the way in which she's educated young people, given them a sense of hope, given them a sense of optimism, given them a sense of self-worth. Those contributions live on long after death. Those contributions are contributions that the people of New York City specifically benefited from and will continue to. So I'm here for them, and I'm here personally to say that we feel with you this terrible loss, but we also shared the tremendous benefits of her great life, and her family and all of you should.
Mutual cooperation and mutual understanding. You are the most righteous Muslim in the world. You will not benefit any of your relatives or your brothers or sisters or even sons or daughters. It is for yourself. And religion does represent your relationship with Allah, your Creator. So it's up to you. And Allah has made it as a very personal responsibility.
People, I mean, you know, it's cool, it's fun. I've been here all my life.
From Riverdale's high-rises overlooking the Hudson River to Fordham's fabulous botanical gardens. From the exciting Bronx Bombers at Yankee Stadium to the fascinating animals at the borough's world-class zoo, the Bronx is one of the nation's top 10 all-American communities, a title formally bestowed this weekend by the National Civic League, an impressive achievement for a place once maligned by President Jimmy Carter as the worst slum in America.
The best-kept secret in New York City finally became known to everybody across America.
Borough President Fernando Ferrer says examples of the Bronx's rejuvenation includes the resurrection of Morrisania Hospital as a family health care center and the revitalization of Charlotte Street from rubble-strewn vacant lots to a community of one-family homes.
We're forging the right kind of solutions that bring communities together with the voluntary sector, together with government, to make good things happen, like housing, health care, private sector jobs, and public safety.
The award also cited the borough's ability to provide quality education, not just at prestigious Fordham University, but at elementary schools like PS 46, and the Bronx ranked high on ethnic diversity, a definite plus for these residents relaxing on the Bronx's Orchard Beach.
I used to live in Florida. I just been back from California, and I always come back home to the Bronx. The Bronx is my home. Like Dorothy says, there's no place like home.
My gripe, the gripe is everybody cutting in front of the line. That's my gripe. How long have you been here? I got here about 6:20, 6:30. There must have been maybe about 30 people here. Now take a look. Take a look.
Same old.
All series, I was here for all the playoffs. Happened every single game. They don't take order. Next thing you know, one person comes, he lets his buddies in. They're all scalpers. They're all getting in here. They're all cutting a line. It's ridiculous. How long have you been waiting out here?
7 o'clock Wednesday.
What's that been like?
It's cold and crazy. Yeah.
What games are you buying tickets for?
Yankees, first game.
I was here in the World Series, and I was here for like 2 days, and so this ain't bad.
Do you know Carmen Brita? All right, you going in? I'll go in.
So crazy, you get so tired, man. Can you tell us anything that we haven't? I can't say. No. Tonight, this can walk in the Bravo supermarket.
Which supermarket?
Over there.
On the corner?
Yes.
What's the name of the supermarket?
Bravo.
Bravo.
Yeah.
What kind of a lady was she?
Dominican.
She's Dominican lady? And what kind of, was she nice, or was she keep to herself? Did she have a lot of boyfriends? Do you know anything about her?
No, I don't see no. She can tell me only little. Hi. How are you? Sure.
Is this shocking to you that this happened?
No.
No. Why do you say that?
I don't know. I don't know what happened.
What's going to come on the TV?
Yeah. Too bad you guys can't see. You guys cold yet? Are you guys going to have that much energy, like, you know, a day and a half away from now?
Whatever it's going to take.
All right.
I'm looking around, B. No, but you're not asking. I know, I came here to pick up tickets for my best friends because, you know. What? My bed?
Okay. I'll go back over here for you guys.
I think we'll get the message across, but it will start with him. We can only deliver it, but they have to enact it.
You said you didn't think the kids would know who he was?
That was teasing.
That was just a joke.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you.
Champ, how you doing today?
They still have my jacket.
Oh, you know what she had? Was it blue?
Yeah. Okay.
Lisa had it, actually.
Lisa Knight?
Lisa, yeah.
Okay.
Tom got that.
Thank you. No, somebody made about a silver. Mr. Allen, can I ask you a quick question? How long have you been working with Mr. Ali?
I met.
Somebody made about a silver. Mr. Allen, can I ask you a quick question? How long have you been working with Mr. Ali?
I met Muhammad in October of 1988 when we collaborated on my book, Muhammad Ali, His Life and Times. And ever since then, we've been talking, and Muhammad has always expressed the view that he's bothered by all the hate and prejudice in the world, and he wanted to make a statement, and healing is the result of that. It's a book that we hope people will read with their families, with their friends, and learn the message that's there. Because right now, Muhammad sees his primary message as teaching people how to love.
Now, when putting the book together,
and it's not just a book to be read once, it's a book to be read several times a week because you have to keep the thought in your head. And I think when you go through the book, I don't know if we have a copy here. I don't know if they've seen it. But it's a nice little book and it's very slick looking. But don't think that means that you can't use it and you can't write in it. Of course you can. And I hope you put it to good use.
Came all the way here, working hard, and that's all I get.
The Attorney General of the United States, Janet Reno,
and had conversation yesterday with Ms. Penzler, Isabel Penzler, who is acting as the head of the United States Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, and are planning to visit with Daniel Patrick, who's the Assistant Attorney General over Civil Rights, to petition the federal government to enjoin the governor's executive order in the situation involving Bob Johnson Jr., the District Attorney of the Bronx. In the 1965 Voters' Rights Act, Bronx County was one of the counties listed, one of the few counties listed in the North. Clearly in the Voters' Rights Act, there is a statute that talks about undercutting the authority of an elected official, particularly a minority elected official. Mr. Johnson is not only the only black elected DA in the state, he is the only black elected DA in the history of the state. For the governor to supersede his powers without due process having taken place and without any regard for the elective office he holds, we feel mandates the federal government step in and protect the citizens. It's a violation of the Voters' Rights Act. It is a blatant act of the governor overstepping the authority of his office. Mr. Maddox, who chairs the United African Movement, stands on my right, and I were intimately involved in the Howard Beach case, which resulted in the first appointment of a special prosecutor in racial violence. In that case, Mr. Santucci had to agree to step aside for the governor to appoint a special prosecutor. The same was so with Mr. Grady in the Tawana Brawley case, where Mr. Abrams was brought in as a special prosecutor. This is the first case in memory where a prosecutor was forced to step aside against his will, that had not even proceeded with a grand jury, that had not made any indictments. Therefore, his options were removed from him. His discretion was undercut. That's a violation of federal law. So while the media and others are making the issue Bob Johnson stand on the death penalty, or Bob Johnson being a nice guy or not a nice guy, all of that is irrelevant. What Governor Pataki has done is what the Voters' Rights Act of '65, resulting from the Civil Rights Movement, tried to protect, and that is reactionary governors acting like when people vote, their vote is nullified if the person that they vote for does something that is against the will of those that hold state power. New York is going back to state.
The crime that he's charged with is supposed to have taken place in 1993. The present investigation stems, to my understanding, from the turning of a cop who was in fact a liar, and now they tried to cloak him with respectability by making him an informant.
I want them to take action too. Like they suspended me, I want them to do something to her, because it's not right. If she was beating me down, why did they suspend me and she's still in there teaching? Put a fake brace on her arm and acted like I hit her so bad.
I love my job. This has been difficult. I didn't take any days off. I went back to work immediately after the incident because there are need for dedicated teachers, and I consider myself to be one of those dedicated individuals. I had to really think about whether I wanted to continue to do this, but as I was saying to Sandy and some of the other members, that I got into teaching because of when I was a kid, I didn't like the way I was taught, and I wanted to do something different. And I think that I'm making a difference in my own way in the classroom. And no, I don't intend to give it up. It's a struggle, and I know from this point it will be an uphill struggle, but I'm in it for all that it's worth. I've been in teaching for a lot of years. As a teacher, I came up through the ranks. I started out as a school aide. I've been PA president, vice president, run Girl Scouts in the school, worked in after-school programs. And even after all of you have gone, I'm going back to my school to be with my students, to do the after-school program. There's not a child out there that's going to chase me away. I refuse to go down without a fight. It's not in my heart. I do this because I love it.
The funeral mass Wednesday evening at St. Joseph's Catholic Church drew 1,500 people. 1,000 more who couldn't get in stood outside the church during the service.
You know, we stick together when it comes to this. Not just one nation, but all nations.
Earlier, outside the Bronx funeral home across the street from St. Joseph's, the street was crowded with people waiting to pay their respects to the victims.
This is him. This is how we remember him.
The dead were among 87 people killed early Sunday inside the Happy Land Social Club in the Bronx, just 10 blocks away. 78 of the fire victims have been identified as Honduran, and the Honduran government has declared 3 days of national mourning. The government is negotiating with Eastern Airlines to take the bodies from New York to Miami, where they would be transferred to a Honduran plane for their final trip home. But in Washington, Congresswoman Pat Schroeder is calling on the Air Force to donate use of a transport plane to return fire victims for burial in their homelands in Honduras and in the Dominican Republic. An Air Force spokesman says the matter is under consideration. Griff Potter reporting.
Does it mean anything that so many people have come out and given their support? Does it make it any easier?
It does make it a lot easier. It's good to know that, you know, we stick together when it comes to this. Not just one nation, but all nations.
As Christians, we believe in eternity. Be their sure support in death or sudden accident. We pray this evening that the Lord may strengthen our faith, deepen our understanding of His great and unique love for each and every one of us.
¡Ay, ay, ay, papá! ¡No me vayas a molestar, por favor! ¡Julio! ¡Ay!
Hard time accepting that the young man had died.
This is him. This is him. This is how we remember him.
The Rivera Funeral Home assured the teens that indeed it was their friend Israel.
He was shorter.
This is how we remember him.
We see.
Did he live with her?
No, no, with mother, with her mother.
Forget, you know, and then they start giving the proper, you know, give you back memories, you know, and you remember about them when they was alive, you know. It's hard, you know, it's very things that you never forget, you know.
A estas niñitas agradecemos a Denise.
was just 15 years old. He was shot and killed by 3 men who attempted to steal his cell phone. Jairo's father, Juan, says his son was a good boy. He never hurt anybody. Juan was inconsolable today as he talked about the bullet that hit Jairo in the head. Early Sunday morning at 2 a.m., Jairo was heading home with a friend when he was shot at 147th Street and Southern Boulevard. Police say one of the men opened fire when the teen refused to hand over the phone. He was the only son I ever had. He's my baby. Jairo was very active in his church and had just come from a meeting at his pastor's house.
I love him.
Rivera liked the teen so much, he loaned Jairo $10 so he could afford the $40 phone. Jairo had saved $30 from working a part-time job.
When I get the money, I feel happy, you know, because it's like my son.
Family and friends say Jairo owned his cell phone for about a month, and he used to love to wear it on his waist to show it off. But they warned him not to do that because they were afraid that someone would steal it.
I wanted him to wear it inside because now they jump for a pair of sneakers.
Vanessa Negron, a family friend, says she feels terrible as she went with Jairo to buy the phone.
He just wanted to be in style like everybody. That's the way I put it. He just wanted to fit in.
He thought like it was, like it was cool. Like, you know, like he was the man. Showing it off.
Jairo's dad says he pleaded with his son not to flash the phone around.
Hide up what inside, not take it outside.
In the Bronx, Robin Walensky, UPN 9 News.
Okay. What we want us to see is stop. Excuse me.
We want to make sure that this doesn't happen to any other family. It should have not happened.
The family of Maria Elena Encinas are grieving this Christmas. Tears for their mom. Maria died Monday, a fire in their Bronx apartment building. Christmas lights may be to blame. Maria's family spent today protesting outside the store where the lights were bought. Maria was just 46 years old. 11 other people were injured in that fire, and it nearly claimed the life of Encina's 18-month-old granddaughter.
This is the tree itself.
These are the lights that they bought that caused the fire.
The Encinas family bought these type of lights, a generic brand made in China. They do not meet safety standards recommended by Underwriters Laboratory, UL for short. Fire officials say the wiring is flimsier than competitive brands.
I believe it's not illegal to sell those lights, but they ought to be ashamed of themselves.
The family claims El Mundo continued to sell the inferior lights days after the fire. When we checked, the lights were pulled off the shelves. The family paid less than $7 for the lights. Fire investigators say there were no UL markings on the box or on the cord.
Do not try to save money by getting lights that aren't, because they truly are very, very dangerous. It makes a very big difference.
There was anger.
There is hardly a person of color in this city that did not expect this verdict. We've lived with it.
A room full of concern from politicians and men and women of the cloth tonight, all worried that the racially charged Diallo case and verdict will only serve to fuel stereotypes and fear.
Because what happens in the inner city, where most white folk don't live, still affects the city as a whole and suburbia as a whole. You can only go so far before you run out of room to run away from the new immigrants and the people of color.
And new worries about those who serve the Bronx.
I'm fearful of the members going home after a church service. I'm concerned not about whether the muggers will get them, not about whether the drug addict will get them, not about whether they will be mugged by some criminal. I'm wondering whether or not they're going to be shot by the police.
The verdict brings no closure, they all agree, but perhaps it will serve as a tool for departmental change.
We don't need stormtroopers. We need policemen to be good and hard when they need to be good and hard, but we need them to be out of the cars, in the streets, talking to us, knowing us. Yes, sir. We got to know their name. They got to know our name. Our kids have got to talk to them and like them.
From the meeting with the media, the group headed to Wheeler Avenue, the site of the killing.
Why go to the scene tonight? Why go to the scene tonight? Because I just want to be there with the people of the Bronx who want to express their concern, they want to express their anger, and I know they will be expressing it in a calm and peaceful way, and I want to be there to express with them.
The visit, they hope, will begin the process to find that true closure to the painful Bronx case. Closure, they say, that cannot come from pulpits or politicians, but from those who elect and inspire them.
Even though there is high emotion, there is sadness and disappointment and anger and outrage, we have to keep those energies and emotions focused on efforts for real change and positive reform in the management of the police department.
Parents picking up their children from PS 91 in the Bronx were appalled. They just learned the school's star teacher has a criminal record, 14 arrests.
She should be out from this school, even she's a star teacher.
School investigators said today that Veronica Hernandez had a dual career, an English teacher at PS 91 and a career thief.
She was a thief before she joined the Board of Education, and she was a thief while she was at the Board of Education and teaching in the classroom.
Most of the arrests for shoplifting expensive items like coats, sweaters, a computer and a printer, but the Board of Ed knew her record when they hired her 7 years ago, but gave her a chance. The commissioner says the principal here at PS 91, Evelyn Centino, gave Hernandez satisfactory evaluations every year. And it was those evaluations, despite chronic absenteeism and continuing convictions, that gained Hernandez all the employment protections of full tenure.
She maintained right up until the end that that still is the best teacher she had in the school.
Did she know?
She knew of the arrest record, yes.
Hernandez was transferred to the district office 2 years ago with pay. Only recently has she been suspended without pay and faces disciplinary charges.
The disciplinary process must move more quickly.
Teacher tenure and discipline are volatile issues between the city and the teachers union, pushing for a new contract.
Before tenure is given, there's a required check to make sure that there are no outstanding arrests or no outstanding convictions. And I gather that was not always the case here at the Board of Education. It certainly exists now.
How does Harold Levy has money for that to pay her and doesn't have money for an addition or any extra programs for the school, for our children? I guess criminals are more important than our children.
Chris O'Donoghue, UPN 9 News.
He knocks on the door, offering help. Then cops say he attacks.
It's very scary. It's horrifying.
Something wrong with this person. He's not right in his mind.
Using DNA evidence, police have linked one man to 10 sexual attacks, including 7 rapes since 1997. Detectives are circulating several sketches of the attacker based on accounts from his victims over the years. Police describe the man as 25 to 30 years old, 5 feet 8 to 5'10", and 150 to 180 pounds with short dark hair. Cops say he attacked in several neighborhoods, including the Bedford Park, Williamsbridge, and Soundview sections of the Bronx, as well as the Astoria, Jackson Heights, and Ozone Park sections of Queens. While the neighborhoods may vary, police say most of the time the MO stays the same.
The latest attack started with a knock on an apartment door, just like 4 other occurrences. A male Hispanic said that he was the super's helper and he needed to get into the apartment to check on a water leak.
Once allowed through the door, the would-be super attacks, sometimes knocking his victims unconscious. The oldest victim, 58. The youngest, just 9. In fact, police say this man preys on the young and the vulnerable. In addition to the 9-year-old, he's attacked girls ages 11, 12, 13, 16, and 17.
He's a sick individual. He's a very sick individual, and he needs to be dealt with.
I hope that they catch him, because right now, winter is coming, it's going to start getting dark, and then there's so many kids now that are starting school.
Anyone with any information is asked to call the Crime Stoppers hotline at 1-800-577-TIPS. That's 1-800-577-8477. All calls to the hotline are kept confidential. In the Bronx, John Shumo, New York 1.
Well, I was upstairs and I heard about 15 shots, and then I seen they were playing football and they were all running towards the yard.
My mother lives around this area. I have brothers and sisters around this area. You know, it's sad to see something happen so close to home.
On the streets of the Bronx, a domestic dispute turned into a shootout when police were called. Mayor Giuliani raced to Jacoby Hospital, followed by family members of the cops who were shot. Police gathered at the emergency room entrance. What happened tonight? Chaos on the streets of the Bronx. A domestic dispute turned into a shootout when police were called. Mayor Giuliani raced to Jacoby Hospital, followed by family members of the cops who were shot.
Because of the grace of God, the police officers will not die. They're going to make it. One was saved by, apparently saved by his handcuffs that stopped the bullet from penetrating. The other was shot. The bullet went through him. They're evaluating him now to determine whether he has to be operated on, but he will survive.
The officers are out of danger, but the mayor was angry at the system, a system that may have put a repeat offender back on the street.
Charles Jenkins was previously convicted 5 years ago of murdering a woman by stabbing her to death. He's out on parole.
Charles Jenkins was shot by cops, taken to Lincoln Hospital.
Creating apologies.
He was a family man. He would call and take care of his children, and I just don't understand. Like I said, he always was the ultimate professional and a role model to me as far as taking care of his kids.
Was there a mother there?
She was there, but she was kind of like bossy, abusive, had to have her way kind of thing. And he seemed a little fearful of her at times.
He was very quiet, did everything he could for those children, including buying the best of clothes and see that they had proper food to eat. He would come here every night, pick them up, take them home, feed them, wash them, and put them to bed until she came home.
Not friendly.
That's how people who live next door and all around John Royster describe the working-class neighborhood on University Avenue and 169th Street in the High Bridge section of the Bronx.
You know, some people that we really don't know about.
John Royster, who lives here on the second floor of a small apartment building, didn't attract attention until recently.
I don't know him, but he don't even look like a violent guy.
The portrait that emerges is of a quiet, shy man about 5'5". Most mornings he was seen leaving his apartment building, pushing a shopping cart that contained a folding table or carrying a shopping bag or a backpack. Like other young men, he played basketball on a nearby court, but he was different. They describe him as soft.
If he get fouled, he'll just walk away, say that's, know what I'm saying? Like if you're playing basketball and somebody foul you, he won't argue about the call. He'll just let the other opponent get it.
The most potentially disturbing information comes from a neighbor who says she doesn't want to be identified. She barely speaks English. The neighbor last Saturday noticed that Royster had shaved his beard and resembled the sketch of the attacker in the Central Park case. She waited until Monday at 11 a.m. She says she called 911 then.
On Monday, I called for police 911 because no have English. Operator say, wait a minute, I had too much. Afraid.
You were afraid, so you hung up? Police have not confirmed receiving the 911 call or putting the woman on hold, but if it's so, timing is crucial. Evelyn Alvarez was murdered at her Park Avenue cleaners Tuesday, a day after the neighbor was allegedly put on hold by a non-Spanish-speaking 911 operator.
I have no idea whether such a call took place, whether it didn't take place, and it really is amazing that you would focus on that at this point.
For neighbors, this remains a baffling story. If it's true, they wonder how such a violent man could have lived so quietly.
I think it's totally scary, frightening.
6:30 this morning, daylight, as a 12-year-old boy walked to his school bus stop at 254th and Broadway in the Riverdale section of the Bronx, his innocent life was forever changed.
It's scary because I have kids of my own. You never know, anything can happen.
Police say a Hispanic man aged 28 to 30 took the boy to nearby Van Cortlandt Park and sexually assaulted him. Police say the suspect stopped the boy and asked him where the baseball field was. Once he got close, he led the 7th grader to believe he had a weapon. He told him to come with him and not to try to run. The boy was taken to this heavily wooded path inside the park and sodomized. When the assault was over, the suspect left the park. The boy ran home, told his parents and police. He was taken to North Central Bronx Hospital to be examined.
These people are actually abducting at any time. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be nights no more. It's actually, the pattern is changing. It seems like they're abducting 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
Police say the boy was walking alone along the park when he was grabbed. The suspect says his abductor was wearing gray sweats, a black baseball cap, and a light-colored windbreaker. Police have questioned several men matching that description, but no arrests have been made. Randy Kay, UPN 9 News.
Would anyone like to make a statement here? No, thank you anyway.
They're not talking to investigators yet, but the 4 New York City police officers accused of firing 41 bullets at an unarmed man met with their lawyer today, and now he's speaking for them.
As human beings, they feel very badly about what happened, that this individual is deceased. But they don't feel badly about the action they took. They did what they had to do as police officers.
Attorney Stephen Worth says the undercover officers did what they had to do because they claim Amadou Diallo reached for what appeared to be a gun.
They gave this individual ample warning that they were police officers. They ordered them to stop, and unfortunately that didn't take place. He made other actions that led them to believe that they were going to be in a shootout, and they took the action that they had to do.
But investigators say the 22-year-old street vendor was unarmed, no gun, when officers shot him 19 times in the foyer of his apartment building. The medical examiner says Diallo was struck once in the chest, once in the right arm, once in the back, 5 times in the torso, and 11 times in the legs.
If a man was put in front of a firing squad, he would not expect to be shot at 41 times.
1157 Wheeler Avenue in the Bronx, where the victim Amadou Diallo lived and died. In fact, he died right here on the spot where neighbors have created a shrine in his memory. At this location on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m., the Reverend Al Sharpton will hold a prayer vigil. At the vigil, Sharpton will announce plans for a major rally next week in front of the federal courthouse in Manhattan.
We are calling for the federal government to intervene in this matter.
The police commissioner and the mayor call for the public to reserve judgment.
People would best to, be patient and not let their prejudices or biases control the conclusion that they come to.
We do have great concern. We don't know exactly what happened. We have canvassed the neighborhood.
All I heard was the gunshots from upstairs.
How many shots?
A whole bunch.
Just before that, a group of young men in their 20s were playing neighborhood football. Then 2 men walked up to the group and one of them started shooting.
We believe some of these individuals know one another, and some of these individuals are known to the police.
1 man was killed at the scene. A second died a few hours later at a hospital. Residents said everyone just started running when the shooting started.
They were playing football. I guess they were all in this yard because they were coming towards this end, and they were just all running, trying to duck through the cars so they won't get hit by the bullet.
Residents claim about 15 shots were fired. Upstairs at the Soundview houses, Lillian Cologne's grandson started screaming.
Mama, Mama, I went to the bathroom with him.
And he was screaming because he was scared of the shots?
Yeah, it was a many shots, about 10, 20. It was many, many more. Yeah, but he was scared. I went to the bathroom because I scared some bullets come to my bedroom and something happened.
2 men are dead, 3 are hospitalized. Police believe this is not just a random shooting.
Some of these individuals are known to the police and have drug arrests in their background.
Any gang relation?
We're looking at this as possible a gang incident.
In what way?
Just from the information we have on the victims.
Friends brought candles for a shrine to Emmanuel Rivera, better known as Manny. The 14-year-old fell to his death late Saturday night from a rooftop down the block from his home.
Sounded like air conditioner fell. My dog barked. I thought it was somebody banged on my front door. That's how loud it was.
Neighbors suspect Manny was running at top speed when he cleared this 10-foot wall, expecting to land safely. But he may have misjudged the distance when he missed this roof entirely, plunging 6 stories to the alley below. Rivera was a student at MS-80, where friends describe him as the class clown.
He was a boy that he was sad, he'll make you laugh. Even did something, he was always there for you.
He was funny. He liked basketball. He would always play basketball. We compete with each other. We would stand in the block, hang out, play kickball, do a lot of stuff.
Police say Rivera and 3 friends spent Saturday night throwing water balloons off the roof. The noise sent one of the building's residents, Thomas Rivera, up there to see what was going on. Cops say Rivera, known by neighbors as Chino, confronted the teens, armed with a bat and his pit bull.
All these kids know Tyson. Tyson was a good dog. Tyson didn't attack nobody, and he was well trained, and he's a playful dog.
But others see the situation as a tragedy that could have been avoided.
If this guy never went up to the roof with his dog and the bat, a kid is going to get scared, naturally, and somebody's got to be held accountable for.
Chino Rivera is charged with weapons possession and second-degree murder. And as Manny Rivera is mourned, the investigation into his death continues.